Welcome back to pregame.tv. We're going to take a look at Friday night baseball action. We've got the Oakland A's at Baltimore. Two teams that are fighting for, looks like a wild card position right now as the A's fell behind Texas again. But situation here, you've got Straley versus Norris. And Straley, last two starts have been decent, but the three starts before that, he couldn't get to out of the fifth inning. What do you take on what's going on with Dan Straley?
Dan Straley is a guy that he went on the shelf a little bit earlier in the season. He's a guy that actually does pitch better on the road. So, we'll keep tabs. But he's 0-5 in his last 5 decisions. Now, he did pitch well. They end up winning the last game 5-1. But I'll tell you what, Oakland's in a little bit of trouble. Right now, again, we're taping on Thursday.
Wednesday.
On Wednesday. They're losing in the 9th inning right now, 5-3 to Seattle. So that'll be still 6 out of 9 that they've won. Baltimore has lost 15 of their last 25. They need to get it right because these are important home games for them. You're at Camden Yards. You got to take advantage right now. If you want to be a player in this wild card race, you got two teams that are pretty good distance ahead of you in Oakland and Tampa Bay. You've got to start taking care of business, and you've got to start at home. If they don't get 2 out of 3 or sweep this series against Oakland, these are, again, 2 games at a time to a team that's in front of you, and you've got to take advantage.
Yeah, and unfortunately for Baltimore, as we're speaking here on Wednesday, they're finishing up Wednesday night a series with Tampa Bay, one of those teams that they're chasing for the wild card, and they've dropped the first 2.
Yep.
So if they go ahead and lose that series and then have to come into this series, their season could be over by a week. I mean, not technically over, but it's going to put them behind the 8 ball for sure. I look at Norris, and Bud Norris is a guy that I've always liked, even when he's at the Astros. And I know there's not a lot to like about the Houston Astros, but when Norris pitched at home, you could take a shot with him because he always kept you in the game. And he's pitched well since he's come over, for Houston. 3 of his 4 starts since he joined Baltimore, he's given up 3 runs or less. The only start that he didn't was his last start. He gave up 4 runs in that game, but he had a huge lead. They beat Colorado. What do you think of Bud Norris?
I like Bud Norris. I think it was a good pickup. I think it's actually a better pickup than Scott Feldman because Norris has been more consistent throughout his career. Feldman, of course, we saw him get banged up when he was in Texas, and then this year had a good start with the Cubs and pitching in a hitter's park like Wrigley Field. Feldman excelled pretty well this year, and I think that's why Baltimore took a shot on him. And I think though getting Norris a little bit after they got Feldman kind of was supposed to shore up that starting rotation, but they need to get some wins, and they need to do it now. Again, dropping 15 of 25, and a bunch of those games have been at Camden Yards. This is a do-or-die series, I think. I agree with you. They need to get the Wednesday night game against Tampa, and they need to take advantage of this series with Oakland.
Well, I talked about how good Norris is, at home as opposed to on the road. So you're getting Norris at home. Talk about a difference. He's got a difference of 2 runs ERA. His road ERA is 5.33, whereas his home ERA is 3.13. Another thing that bodes well with Norris in this game is you're getting him in a night game. His ERA at night is 3.50, whereas if you put him in day games, it soars up to 5.17. So you're getting him in his best situation.
There you go.
You know what? We've talked about this one. This is your pick.
It is.
Let's make it official.
Let's do it. And it is going to be the Baltimore Orioles as my play on pregame.tv. I am going to take Bud Norris. Initially, I looked at the Oakland A's, and I like Oakland when they get outside of Oakland Alameda County Coliseum. Why? Because they have some hitters. They have some long ball hitters. Camden Yards is a great place to hit home runs, and as Earl Weaver, the old Oriole manager, used to say, that killer hit is the old 3-run homer. And Oakland hits a bunch of those. You look at their lineup up and down. You've got Moss, you've got Donaldson, you've got Cespedes, Callaspo coming over, and Reddick. Now, all these guys can knock the ball to the ballpark. Problem is, none of them can really hit for average. I mean, Cespedes, he's actually got his average up a little higher since the All-Star break, but it's still at 229. How about Reddick? Only 216. Donaldson, not much better. Lowry's been pretty consistent. Moss, pretty consistent as well with the long ball and RBIs, but again, not much for average. Only a couple of these guys over 250 in the A's lineup. So while they have the guys that can knock the ball to the ballpark, they don't have a lot of guys to set the table that get on base. base, therefore advantage Orioles. When you look at this Oriole lineup, Chris Davis has picked it up, got a real slow start right after the All-Star break, but really has picked it up of late. 45 homers, 115 RBIs, average still over 300 at 306. You've got Adam Jones. I'm sorry. When you look at Adam Jones, 300, 25 homers, 89 RBIs. I mean, that's a great season. But because Chris Davis is having such a spectacular year, and of course Miggy Cabrera over there in Detroit, nobody really talks about Adam Jones. Manny Machado, another young star at third base, very consistent, has the average close to 300, 11 homers, 58 RBIs, and then up and down that lineup, Markakis, McLeod, Hardy, Wieters, all these guys pretty solid. Makes Baltimore one of the tougher lineups in Major League Baseball because no real peaks and valleys, no weak spots there. Now, Bud Norris, 5 2/3, like Marco said, last outing, gave up 4 runs, 9 hits, walked 3, not good. But again, when you're pitching with a big, comfortable lead, kind of take the foot off the gas a little bit there. They have won 4 of his 5 decisions. And again, this is a make-or-break series, I think, for Baltimore. Again, still plenty of time left, like Marco said. But when you have to jump past 2 pretty good teams, you've got Tampa and you've got the A's. You got to get past one of them. And Texas, you don't know who's going to win that division, Texas or Oakland. But you figure the 2 wild cards in the American League are probably going to be right around 20 games over 500. So therefore, Baltimore, who's been kind of lingering around that 10, 9, 11 games over 500 mark for the last month, they need to get it together to get on the other side of 15 over 500. So we'll see what happens, but I'm going to take a shot on Bud Norris. Again, Straley has pitched pretty well as far as on the road. Only 6 earned runs in his last 24 2/3, but again, 0-5 in his last 5 decisions. I'll take a shot. If it was against a lefty, Baltimore struggles against lefties. They're 3 games under 500, 18 21, but they both do about the same against right-handed pitching. I like Norris. Night game, like you said, better ERA, and again, a big game. Baltimore better get it together, and I think Showalter have them ready.
All right. Well, there you have it. Ken says to take Baltimore on Friday night. We're going to come back next. We're going to take a look at a preseason game for Saturday. It's going to be another pick from Ken. We're going to take a look at San Diego at Arizona. That's up next. Pregame.tv.